Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking and teaching you about conscious eating strategies. There are 3 steps you can take that can go a long way to helping you reach and maintain your weight loss goals. So stay tuned and we'll jump right into it. Our primary goal when we are trying to lose weight is, in addition to losing weight, of course, is to be able to enjoy the foods we're eating. I never tell anybody to go on a diet or to eat diet food, but what I do tell them is that I want them to learn how to eat consciously. I want them to get the psychological satisfaction of enjoying the foods they're eating. That is the number one reason people overeat, is because they are not paying attention. They're not consciously eating. So we're going to go over those 3 steps today, and I think it will help you enormously if you can just start with these 3. Now, I know a lot of you are finishing up your GLP1 medications, whether it's Ozempic, Wegovy, tirzepatide, I didn't say that right, tirzepatide, one of those. And so a lot of people are really looking for something they can do to help maintain the progress they've made. And I've got the answer for you today in these 3 steps to conscious eating. So let's take a look at the first one. This one, when I give this to my clients, I get the old eye roll like, oh, geez, that isn't going to work. But it does work. And here it is. The first thing I want you to do to begin the conscious eating process is this. When you eat, do nothing but eat. No TV, no computer, no books, magazines, and certainly not driving in the car. And also, this one might surprise you, no excessive conversation. Here's what I tell my clients. Once you establish these new habits of conscious eating, then it's all right. You can, sit in front of the TV and eat, as long as you can maintain the new behaviors, the new habits. I think most people are willing to do this. They just worry that their partner, whoever they live with or share meals with, is going to roll their eyes at them when they say, hey, I don't want to watch TV while I'm eating here for just a couple of weeks. But just consider this to be your training. This is your training ground. So when you eat, do nothing but eat. No TV. And here's why. I want you to be consciously aware of the fact that you are eating. I'm going to talk about an interesting study that was done. I'll go through this quickly. They took this woman to a big room, big white room, white table, white chair. Nobody else in there. And they sat her down. There was a big empty bowl, and they dumped a whole bag of potato chips in it. And they said, "We just want you to eat this bag of chips, this bowl of chips, and we're just going to see how long it takes you. So take your time. It doesn't matter how long you take." And she said, "You're crazy. I can't eat a whole bag of chips in one sitting. That's ridiculous." And they're like, yeah, just do what you can do. It's no big deal. Just eat what you want. So she sat there and she ate some. And then she was like, okay, I don't want to eat anymore. I'm going to, a lot of chips. So they marked that. And then they put her in some other scenarios and measured her eating. And one of them was this. They put her in a big room where there was like a party going on. Football game on TV, lots of people milling around, and lots of tables with different kinds of food, chips and crackers and cheese and nuts and pastries, football food, all that good stuff. And they kept an eye on her secretly, I suppose, and just measured how much she ate. And she was so busy watching TV and chatting with other people and just socializing and having a good time. She ended up eating not only the equivalent of a full bag of chips, but even more than that. This just is a really good demonstration that shows us that when we're not paying attention to what we're eating, we just eat and eat and eat and eat. How many times have you had the experience of, sitting down with something you really love to eat? I think one of my favorite things is a big block of cream cheese, some salsa on it, and a bag of chips, right? I love that. I just love all those flavors. But if I'm watching TV and I'm chatting with people and I'm snacking away, all of a sudden it's gone. And I only really remembered and enjoyed maybe 1 or 2 bites of that whole thing. So even though I may be physically full, I'm not emotionally and psychologically satisfied. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go find something else that I like to eat. And these are the kinds of habits and behaviors that put excess weight on us. We know that if we just slow down the eating process, we can thoroughly enjoy the foods we're eating. And here's the thing about doing this. When you start to eat, whether it's a meal or a snack, when you sit down and you start to eat, there's a little timer that goes off in your brain. It's set for about 25, 30 minutes. Now, it's very subtle. Most of the time, we don't hear the timer. We don't sense it when it goes off because we're watching TV and yapping and driving and doing all that other stuff. But after about 20 or 25 minutes, your brain releases hormones into the body that says, you've had enough to eat, time to stop. You can only metabolize so much food in your belly at a time, and you've had that, you've reached your limit, so stop. Now, this message is like a subtle breeze. It's very gentle, it's very subtle. And if you are busy watching TV and socializing, or you're totally engrossed in your computer work or you're reading a book, you're really not paying attention to that. You're just unconsciously eating and eating and eating and eating and eating and, tell you what's time to go to bed or whatever. But when you are paying attention to what you're eating, you get that subtle message. It's very subtle. It's like this little wave of like awareness that just kind of goes through you. It's like, oh, I think I felt that. I think I know what that is now. And you look at your food and you realize you are content. Are you stuffed to the brim? No. And we don't want you to be stuffed to the brim. Are you content? Yes. You are at a good stopping place. You've had enough to eat. And I want you to really absorb that and be okay with the idea of pushing that plate away, even if there's a little bit of food left on it when you get that subtle message. Hope you get my point. When you eat, do nothing but eat. Here's the second one. This is another conscious eating strategy. It's kind of minor, but it's very important. And it goes like this. Count how many times you're chewing each bite. Now, I don't care how many times you're chewing each bite. I'm not telling you to chew every bite 35 times. Or if it's, if it's meat, chew it 40 times. It doesn't matter how many times you're chewing. The whole suggestion to count how many times you're chewing something is just to bring your awareness to the fact that you are indeed eating something. There's food in your mouth. And if you're counting it, you're going to be less inclined to just keep shoving it in there. It's very interesting. When we give ourselves the chance to be consciously aware of what we're doing, our whole behavior changes, and for the better in this case. So I'm happy to tell you about these. Here's the third one. This one is my favorite of all. If I could only tell you one trick, or it's not really a trick, strategy, technique to use to change your eating habits, it would be this. Every time you take a bite, put down whatever you've got in your hand. Spoon, fork, sandwich, a burger, a taco, whatever it is. Take a bite, put down what you have in your hands. Now, I can hear you. You're saying, well, it's a burrito and it's wrapped up or whatever. And if I set it down, it's going to fall apart. I totally get that. So if that's the case, just set it down on the table, but hang on to it so it doesn't fall apart. I don't want your food to fall apart. But here's the point, is that when we can take a bite and then empty our hands, just sit back a moment and chew, pay attention to the flavors, the textures, the aromas, and get that psychological satisfaction, we're going to be much less inclined to overeat. This one, I love this one so much. Taking the bite, putting down what's in your hand, sitting back and enjoying. Here's what most people do. They get their fork and they carefully portion off whatever they're going to eat, and then they take a bite. And then their focus and their intention and their entire reason for living becomes the next food that's coming on the fork. They're busy getting that one already, and they can't wait to eat that bite on the fork. So they're chewing this one fast and furiously and sometimes swallowing it before it's even all the way chewed. because that's the one on the fork that they want, even though it's exactly the same thing. And they're just shoving that food in there as fast as they can. You may be like me in that you've had a career where you had to eat fast. I was an elementary school teacher and we had 30 minutes for lunch, 10 of which were spent getting our kids through the line and getting them seated. And then we had 20 minutes to go through the line. The cooks always gave us extra food because that's just what they did. And then so we'd have 20 minutes to just like shove all this food in. There are some occupations like teaching that are a little more conducive to obesity. Anyway, the school I taught was because our cooks were so amazing. But here's the thing. When you take a bite, you put it down, you're chewing, you're counting, and you're not doing anything else, no TV or anything like that, then you feel that wave of satisfaction go through you. You realize the change. Because now when that 30-minute timer goes off, you can either have this many calories in your belly or you can have this many calories in your belly. Your choice. I want you to be satisfied. I want you to be content. This is not about eating until you are stuffed and uncomfortable. We get to do that every year on Thanksgiving. And on that day, you know what? Go to town, knock yourself out. It's fun. But all the other days of the year, check this out. Try this conscious eating strategies. It's really, really good. It's worth paying attention to if you're just kind of getting started or just wanting to maintain. Again, as I mentioned, I've got the other video. I'll link it below with the 12 steps to losing weight and maintaining your progress so far. But if you're just getting started and you want a good starting place, this is it. Conscious eating. No TV or anything else while you're eating. Count how many times you chew every bite. And every time you take a bite, put down what you've got in your hand, sit back, enjoy that food, the flavors, the textures, the aromas, and pay attention when you get that little message that says you're done, you're full, you're satisfied, and honor that because you're worth it.